going into this review, keep in mind I'm one of the few that really enjoyed Prometheus and love Alien and Aliens. Keep that in mind. What is up, guys? My name is Zach and I'm bringing you guys a brand new review today for Alien Covenant, the sequel to Prometheus, the prequel to Alien and Aliens, and it's just wow. Let's talk about it. So, going into this film, I had a very high expectations for this. The trailers were great. Ridley Scott's on a good run because he just did The Martian. And, I'm here saying I love the film. I will say, though, I will totally understand if someone bashes this film and isn't a big fan of it, or even just like the film. I don't think this film is very wide appeal. I think it's going to be a very diverse film, just like Prometheus. And I don't think it's going to be as diversive, but it will certainly still be diverse. And we'll get to that in a second. That's where a lot of my cons actually fall. But most of the pros I want to talk about this is, for me, I really do feel like Ridley Scott did a great thing where he actually took the Prometheus sequel that he was probably going to make and he formed it with the Alien universe. Because Prometheus, it took place in it, but there really was nothing to do with Alien in there. And there was a little Easter eggs here and there. But the thing with Prometheus in this one is that it seems like they took half of Prometheus and the Alien universe and they just collided it and made it into its own movie. Now, it shouldn't have been called Alien Covenant. I know it's kind of like a Hollywood thing. They have to do the name, bigger money, all that. People are going to associate with these two movies, and that's fine. But for me, I really like this movie, and I think I got to start off with the performances. Most of the performances were just all right, but I mean, a lot of the characters I kind of didn't really get into because I was like, oh, they're probably all going to die. I mean, that's the back of my head I'm thinking. I'm going to give a shout out mostly to Danny McBride, because when I heard they cast him, I'm like, oh, Danny McBride, I like him. That's just a really crazy casting to cast Danny McBride, and I gotta say, he's one of the best parts of the movie. He really carries a lot of humanity in this film, and that's a really good thing too to say, because you're Danny McBride. Like, come on. Like, you're the comedian. You're Kenny Powers from Eastbound and Down. But I'm glad to say that he actually really is one of the best parts of the movie and one of the best central protagonists. And also, I don't know her name. I feel so bad. But the main lady in here does a great job as well. I will say, though, that her character arc's a little iffy and a little spotty for me. I didn't really believe in it. It was cool seeing what she was doing. But by the end of the film, it was like the whole film, you're kind of scared. And then all of a sudden, you're just this badass. Which, I mean, kind of Ripley was too, but I felt like they did a better job in Alien than they did a better job here, and I felt like they were just trying to do it like a Ripley thing, and I wasn't about that, but I still liked where her character went. I just wish they would have fleshed her out a bit more, per se. And come on, the standout of this film is Michael Fassbender. I mean, Michael Fassbender steals the whole damn movie, and that's no joke to say. I mean, he plays two androids in here, David from Prometheus and a new one, Walter, that's on the Covenant ship, and just him playing both of them is insanely good. I don't want to talk any more about it because they are the central protagonists of the story, I would say. Mostly David, and you really learn a lot. And that is more for a spoiler talk, which I will be doing later this week. Also, did I say that this is a Ridley Scott movie? It's beautiful to look at. I will say I think Prometheus was a little bit better to look at, just per se because the landscape and just where they were going. But Alien Covenant's still amazing to look at. A lot more of it takes place in space, and a lot of it looks really good. The CGI in most parts looked really good, and some of the CGI actually looked a little spotty. I'm not going to lie on that one, because I think Prometheus used a lot more practical effects than this movie did, and I understand some of the parts in here you can't really use practical effects, but the one thing that looks amazing is the xenomorph. Wow. Oh my god. There's like two different forms of xenomorph that you've seen in the trailer. There's a neomorph and a xenomorph. Both look fantastic when they're grown size, and just it was great to see them all back on the screen. But it's a little sad to say that the last half of the movie is where we get like a lot of the alien stuff, and the first half is not. And that's where a lot of my cons actually falls. In that first half of the movie, I was still on board, I was intrigued, and it was that intriguing level from Prometheus that kept me on board for Prometheus a lot, even though I know it has a lot of shortcomings. The same thing happens for this movie, where the movie builds on such a big level for Prometheus that you have this new crew and everything in Alien Covenant, And I was kind of sitting there, I was like, okay, I know this is like going to tie in somehow. And when it finally does, I was like, oh, that's really cool. And it kept going along. And I will say, like, for the most part, I got some of my questions answered from Prometheus that I wanted answered. And some of them I didn't. And I understand I probably never will after seeing this movie. But that's fine, because it's for this movie, it seems like it closed the chapter of Prometheus, but tied it into the bigger whole of the movie. And I mean, where we go into in a sequel, which we'll get to that in a spoiler talk, I like where they're going with it, and I enjoyed that. First half of this movie, I honestly think you could have shortened this movie very much so. I understand the beginning of this movie is actually to set up most of the movie, just to say, okay, like, this is tying in the Prometheus, don't worry, it really is tying, so don't forget about that. And it plants elements where you know something's gonna occur and something's gonna happen, because it does it in such an obvious way, which these twists and turns that happen, you're kind of sitting there and you're like, okay, I know this is gonna happen, but when is it gonna happen? And this happens a lot throughout the film, and I like that part, but at the same time, the twists were a little bit predictable because of the things that they would put here and there. In the beginning, there's a part where the movie starts, and I think you could have easily, like, cut like 15 minutes out and just started it after they woke up out of their cryo sleep and stuff like that, because it has a lot of unnecessary stuff in there for me I didn't think was really important. I understand a lot of it was just trying to, like, oh, we're gonna care about the characters, but like I said before, in the back of my head I'm thinking almost every single one of you people are probably gonna die on this trip, if not all of you. And I mean, why should I care about you? And you can tell that too. Like, they really tried hard to make us care about each and every character, but in this movie, I gotta say, I didn't really give a shit about it. But, like I said, there are some really good characters in here that I did enjoy, so it's not a total fail at all. I say, like, the face I have in my thumbnail for this video, that was my face throughout the whole entire film. This film has some awesome horror elements into it. I mean, where I was on the edge of my seat, like, oh my god, this is happening. My jaw would drop at a lot of parts of it. This is a very gory movie. I mean, gory. And the action sequences in here are fantastic to see. There's a lot of parts in this movie that I was just, like, jaw-dropping, like, oh my god, this is happening. And it was a really thrilling ride. Even though the beginning of the movie is a little slow-paced, I think the pacing had a lot of issues in this film. But I necessarily, honestly, will say I think this is a return to the Alien franchise. And I'm really excited to see where they go next with this, because of everything they set up in this film, it didn't feel like a setup film. It felt like this is another chapter with more characters, and we're moving on to something else after this. And I'm really excited to see where they go to next. And I'm happy to think, like, this has such great potential. Just like how Prometheus set up something, this set up something as well, but also remained its own thing. And I love that about itself. That said, I'm gonna have to give Alien Covenant a B+. Did you guys see Alien Covenant? Comment down below, let me know what your guys' favorite part of it is. Keep it spoiler free though, because what we're gonna do about it is I'm gonna make a spoiler review, because I know I usually say that, but for this movie there's so much to talk about. I'm gonna film that later this weekend because I have to. It's Alien, and there's so much I want to talk about and gush over that I can't get into the spoilerific details here. But other than that, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe. I love when you guys do that. It makes me motivated to do more. It really helps me out. With all that said, guys, have a great rest of your guys' day and enjoy this video.